Okay, so previously on the channel, we recently did who I believe to be like the 3 worst Warframes in the game. Just a general selection of frames that are on the lower end, even though, you know, I don't think there's any actual bad Warframes in the game. This time we wanted to do something different. We're going to go over the best Warframes in the game, or at least like the 3 best, the ones that I personally would put at the top of the pack. Now, it's also worth knowing, we've done a tier list on this channel before, so it's going to be from like the S tier of that, at least if I can narrow it down. And I'm going to try and pick out the top 3 best in the game. And if you disagree, it's completely fine. It's all opinionated. Everyone has their own opinion on this stuff. And at first, we're just going to scroll through the list and try to knock off individual frames who are in the same conversation for the best in the game. And then hopefully narrow down the top 3. And then we're going to play them in live commentary style. And I'm going to talk about why I think they're so good and the best in the game. Alright, let's have a scroll through the list. Who's a contender? Honestly, the first contender I'd say who's maybe S tier is probably Citrine. Citrine might be the best support in the game. There's another competitor who's further down the list, but I don't think she's top 3. I don't think she's quite close enough to that. Dante might be. Dante might be in the top 3. I'm just going to leave that there for now. Gauss, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. I've always said Gauss in the past, but Gauss, honestly, he's also really close to top 3. He might be in there. I use this frame so much just for pure efficiency. He's so quick, he's so tanky, he does a shit ton of DPS. Oh my god, he was designed so well. He's definitely in the conversation. All these frames are pretty good. I think Hydroid is also... he's not top 3. This is a potentially top 10 Warframe. Jade is also top 10 potential, but I think this frame feels forgotten. Like, I feel like nobody's really talking about Jade since release, but we all know she's pretty damn strong. Cora, super efficient, crazy DPS, and a loot frame as well, but I don't know if she's really, you know, breaking into that top, maybe top 10. Culervo is a really strong contender. Like, if we're talking pure, insane levels of damage that, like, not many frames can really compete with how efficient he is at doing his damage. He's up there, and he's got decent survivability to boot, but he has, like, no team support. Mag is potentially top 10. She's very strong. Mesa, she's probably in the top 3. I can't think of any reason for her to not be top 3. Barrage is also extremely good right now. She's gotten a lot better. I think she's in the top 10. I might have way more frames than 10 in my top 10. That's just how this shit goes. Nova's exceedingly strong. I don't know if she's breaking top 10 though. Octavia is extremely close. She might be, this is probably one of the most interchangeable with top 3. Like, her overall speed at killing enemies might be a little bit slower compared to some others. This frame just does everything, but is she the best at everything? She's close to it, but I don't know. Right behind her, Protea is also within the conversation. Honestly, the only thing holding Protea back is just because she's up against such high-level competition. Like, when it comes to the top 5 or even top 10 in general, you can do a lot of switching around. Protea's in the convo. Okay, here we have a really strong selection. Rhino and Revenant are literally, like, the same in terms of what they're doing. I think Rhino's better at the team support element because he's obviously got the best version of Raw, and then Revenant is just he's so efficient at survivability. Jesus fuck. Let's try it again. He's so efficient at surviving. Like, he's got the most accessible type of invincibility in the game, and he does infinite scaling one-shot damage as well. He's just, you want a safety comfort pick, this is your Warframe. I'm gonna go on a tangent here. I don't want to do this. This is not enough time in the video for a tangent about this conversation. These two are both goated and in the top 10. Zarin, she's in the top 3. I'm just gonna say it. Volt is also potentially top 10, but then there's Varuna, and then there's Wisp, there's Wukong, Zephyr, Zaku. Everyone is goated. Like, this is so hard to narrow a top 10. I might have to do this sometime. This is going to be a pain in the ass. Anyway, let's just hop into game with my 3rd pick. I don't even know if I'm really going to order them. We'll see. I think Dante might have been the fastest nerf in the history of the game. Like, in terms of a frame releasing and then immediately getting nerfed, he might be up there with the quickest. And it makes sense. Like, he was just so unbelievably efficient at everything upon release, and he was definitely overtuned. I think we've seen worse in terms of overtuning, but I don't know. He got nerfed and is now still insane. Like, there's just no way around it. This frame is good at pretty much everything. And I think probably the biggest reason as to why I put him within the top 3 is I don't think there's a frame better at keeping your teammates alive. Like, you could argue that there's maybe more powerful versions of survivability. For example, you know, Loki can actually give his teammates complete invulnerability within the game, and Overguard is not complete invulnerability, but come on, the range of giving yourself regenerating Overguard for you and your teammates is just unreal. Like, so far I've only used... I have my Discord open. For fuck's sake. I'm so professional at this shit, guys. Anyway, as I was saying, like, I'm really just using my Overguard right now, and nothing else. He does so much more than that. All this Overguard for my teammates, I can buff their damage, give myself stats damage bonuses, an exalted weapon that can also be built for not only really good damage, but also just going straight up buffing with you know, the ability to drop all of those tone mods on it and whatnot. Like, all this Overguard I'm getting right now, 40,000 Overguard, I can give that to my teammates, and I don't even have to really be close to them, because you just build him for range, and then he's cracked. And then, of course, we have his nuking. Like, just like that. I can hop into a still path and do this instantly, no problem. Oh, everything's dead. Instant room nuking, very efficient, plenty of ways to build, great team support, keeping your entire team alive. Like, watch... Okay, they got saved by void mechanics. Gotta love it. Not that time though. So easy. Like, I can give myself a strength bonus with an alt fire. Like, oh, my buffs are down. I will admit he does need casting speed shards to do what he wants to do. You could just spam Madurai, but god, man. And you don't need to use his exalted weapon either, you can subsume this off, I just felt like showing it. You can stack all of the buff mods onto his exalted weapon and use it purely for its buffs to make your other abilities stronger and help your team. I think the main selling point for him is just the Overguard, the efficiency of how he can keep his teammates alive. Like, whenever you have this frame on your team, you're going to feel it. Just straight up looking at your health bar and realizing, oh wait, I'm fine, and I can play the game in any way that I want right now. No stress. Like, my god. Satisfying damage numbers too. Like, was that 11 million? The fact that you don't really even need a good exalted weapon on this Warframe, and it's just there, and it can be used, and it's effective. It isn't the strongest exalted in the game, but it's more than effective, and I have one of the buff mods on here too. I could build this for more damage. I could even switch out an arcane, give it more fire rate. I'm actually having so much fun playing him right now. I want to stay in this mission a little bit. See if we get a little Overguard burst with Truculence real quick. Double tap this, hit him with Viral, and then they're dead. I'll admit, he could be a bit confusing for new players to learn, because it's really just all about memorizing the combos. Come on. Oh no, my Overguard's dipping. What will I ever do? I'm so worried. All dead. I'm out of here, boys. Like, I'm still gaining Overguard from killing someone. It's just, he has Overguard gating built in. Out of my top 3, I'd say he probably has the best team support and survivability, but on top of that has room nuking and an exalted weapon and crazy damage buffing. Ticks every box. Okay, admittedly the build I'm using for this demonstration real quick is it's meant for XP farming with a lot of range and decent damage. There's not a lot of survivability in this, so this might go a bit, let's just say I'm a bit concerned. I've already just lost all my shields. I haven't got catalyzing shields on here either. Wish me luck, fellas. Honestly, that's a good point to start with, is that Saren has quite a few ways you can build her. You can forego her 4 and build her for Nourish and Melee. We did a video on Saren, and it was about how she is basically just unfuckwittable in the damage department, and it's because she prioritizes all of the best damage types in the game. Saren is a no-brainer for the top 3. I know survivability isn't the best, but you can easily shield get on her. This build isn't even optimized for survivability whatsoever. It's mainly just off of the idea that everything's going to be dead anyway. Now, if I throw catalyzing shields on this setup somewhere and maybe drop off a bit of range, I could take this to level cap easily. Saren's entire playstyle, or at least when you're going for a base kit, is, you know, try to kill everything as fast as possible so that way you don't die. She is a shield gate crutch for the most part, but you can build her for, you know, HP tanking with some adaptation, throw on regenerative molt, and, you know, get away with some self-healing, but for the most part, you want to use shield gating on her for some high level content. She can buff her damage with corrosive. Her base ability does corrosive. She does viral with her 4 and toxin with her 3. They're like the best damage types in the game, and she spreads them across the entire map as well. It makes sense that a frame that's based on spreading viruses would be probably the best in the game. Oh no, I'm getting hunted. What will I ever do? Like, I'm just spamming shield gating. I don't even have like any energy efficiency on this setup. Okay, I have energize on here, but I think I would have been fine there without it, to be honest. Her 2 is so cheap to shield gate, and I can spam shield gating enough without catalyzing shields, which is insane, and it's because her kill rate is so quick. And it seems to stay this way at most levels, if any level, because, you know, what the fuck is going to survive constantly elevating damage of corrosive, viral, and toxin. Probably the best room nuke frame in the game. I can't think of anyone that does it better than her. It's so efficient. You can AFK a lot of her gameplay as well. I have so much less to say and make coherent sentences about Saren because I almost feel like there's nothing to describe on her. Everyone knows she's this good. Is her survivability on the lower end? Yes, but you don't need it to be high end because she's killing everything so quickly that it's not going to matter. You can't die to something if it's dead. Oh no, I'm low energy. Let me go to the other room where I killed so much shit whilst I was in the other room. Saren just surpasses everyone when it comes to spreading large amounts of DPS very quickly. And because of that, she's pretty much guaranteed to be top 3 because that's what this game wants. Okay, in my opinion, this frame is guaranteed to be number 1, at least in my mindset. She's always who I think of first when it comes to just the best, most efficient frame in the game, and that's Mesa. What's there to argue with? Let me just, you know, give myself a large amount of damage reduction, buff myself with damage on my 2, give enemies CC to deal with. Her damage is just so good that it is easily competing with that of Saren. It doesn't infinite scaling one-shot damage or anything, but it does so much DPS so quickly, and it shoots forever as well, so if you're fighting a level cap enemy, eventually your crosshair is going to narrow down and just light them up for as long as it needs to do until they die. Building it for fire rate, in my opinion, is the most goated way to go. If something never runs out of ammo, why not just build it for as much fire rate as possible and get the damage in where you need to? Also, can we talk about how if every exotic weapon is getting arcane soon, that we're probably going to be able to put secondary forward to fire on Mesa? I don't even want to know. Like, infinite gating with overguard on Mesa, that's a new way to go to level cap with her. What's also helping Mesa be probably the best in the game is that she's just so simple. Like your third ability, sure, it's not the best survivability in the game because you can die to melee and whatnot, but she has access to maximum damage reduction from projectiles. She can stun enemies with her 2 and buff you and your teammates with damage. Her 4 is just probably the best exalted weapon in the game and has an augment that allows you to move with it. Her 1 is niche, but you know, there's some builds for it and you can just replace it with Nourish anyway to make her 4 stronger and give her a large amount of energy reserve. Forming your opinion on the top 3 best frames in the game really just depends on where the game is at in terms of its meta and what it wants. And it wants efficient damage and survivability at the same time, and Mesa gives exactly that. This is a much more comfortable pick for most content than Saren because her survivability is more accessible and just easier to play with. Not everyone is going to like shield gating on someone like Saren. On top of this, I also do not believe her peacemakers require too much investment to make them good. Like, the reality is they shoot so fast and do so much damage that you just need some decent mods on there. A good full build, you don't need to min-max a thing. Like, let's say for example, there's some exotic weapons that want a lot of investment to make them compete, such as Ivara's Artemis Bow or maybe Wukong's Staff. They just want more overall. Mesa, she just wants a good set of mods, and that's it. Mesa's gameplay really speaks for itself. I think there's nobody doubting that she's probably top 3 best in the game. We've done a video on the best endurance frames in the game, which, listen, best endurance frames is a different list to the best frames in the game because endurance is only one element of the game. And I think there's better endurance frames than Mesa, but she's also completely viable for that. Admittedly, she's a bit more self-centered than someone like Dante, who has better team support, but she still buffs her teammates' damage with her 2, which honestly is a mechanic I often forget is even in the game. So yes, Mesa would be my number 1 pick for who I believe to be the best frame in the game. It is very close, but in terms of efficiency, if I ever want to just go into a mission and be able to compete with anything the game actually throws at me, then Mesa would probably be my choice. After playing all three of these frames back to back to back, I feel even more confident that these would be my top 3 most powerful within the game. Maybe not most powerful, like I said, we just spoke about the endurance and whatnot, but just the best frames for what this game wants and its overall content. I feel strongly about these 3 being within the top 5 at least. In terms of the 2 honorable mentions that you could interchange, I would definitely say Revenant and maybe Octavia. Revenant's not going to have as good or efficient damage distribution overall. I think, dashing through enemies and setting them up with his 1, or, using your 4 isn't going to be as efficient as someone like Saren, but its survivability is leagues ahead. As for Octavia, I think she's in a similar situation. But anyway, that's my top 3 best frames in the game. Let me know whether you agree or disagree, and drop your top 3 best in the game in the comments. I appreciate you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next video.